Yo, what up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This is Fandom Frequency, where we dive into the entire multiverse of pop culture, whether that's movies, comic books, wrestling, music, doesn't matter. We talk about it around here on the channel. So if you're digging the vibe and you like what we're talking about today or any of the topics we've been discussing lately, click all the buttons below the video and show that support. We appreciate it ever so much. We've been getting some new subscribers in this week. So much love to you out there. And today we're going to be diving back into the world of the MCU. We're diving into the world of mysticism itself with the third episode of Agatha All Along, the Kathryn Hahn led show. No appearances from Aubrey Plaza this week, so a little bit of a letdown for me. But we're getting into episode 3 here because I had that double episode premiere last week, and just getting into my overall thoughts on the episode. I did enjoy this episode. I will say that I think this one wasn't quite as strong as the second episode, at least for me, but I do think some of the storytelling that they were doing with this episode was alluding to some very important things to come and getting at some of the essence of what the story is about and kind of how the trajectory of the story is going to be, and kind of how we're going to be approaching going down this witch's road with all these ladies going through these different trials and whatnot in order to achieve whatever goal or big power or whatever that they want at the end of this road, a la golden the golden brick road, very Wizard of Oz type vibes going on here. And I really dug a lot of the like the actual visuals of the set design and the color palette and things like that. And the cinematography in this episode I thought was really well done, really awesome, really cool visually. Didn't go quite as trippy as Doctor Strange, but still had a little bit of that WandaVision vibe to it, where it felt like something otherworldly in a very normal looking setting, and then being kind of in this almost like rich people house resort type of atmosphere. It even changed up their whole get up and their outfits, as you guys see from the thumbnail and things like that. And for those of you that actually watched the episode, you've seen that they had this whole wardrobe change, and they were really cool costumes and whatnot. The only thing for me, though, I just don't think this episode was quite as funny, and I wasn't quite as engaged the whole time with this episode as I was the second episode. And but I did enjoy this more than the premiere first episode as well. So I would probably go like episodes 2, episode 3, then episode 1 so far in my ranking of my enjoyment of the episode. But overall, I thought it did some cool stuff to move the story forward a little bit, give us some cool, interesting tidbits and things about Agatha as a character and other characters and their relations to her, and other characters' kind of guilt and things that they're dealing with from their past, in that sense as well, to get a better understanding of kind of what makes these women tick and what makes these characters who they are. So I really did dig that aspect of the episode a lot, like I said. And yeah, so overall, it's a good episode, but I wouldn't say it's a great episode like I thought of the last one. So, kind of getting into some more of the actual recap portion of this episode, getting into some of the plot points and things like that and things that went down. So, like I said, they're kind of in this new kind of rich, kind of like almost like a fancy ass Airbnb type situation going on here. And they got the whole like wardrobe get up like they're going to a goddamn country club or something like that. And everything. And then they're at this place and they find this big bottle of wine and everything like that. And they start drinking, having a good time, letting loose, getting to know each other a little bit, especially between the teenager and the Asian lady over to the left of the screen there by Agatha. I forgot her name. But she and him are having some bonding moments and kind of getting to know each other a little bit, and him kind of alluding to the fact that he doesn't that she kind of had some falling out, or kind of lost her mother in some kind of way, or lost her parents and things of that nature, and the ways that they kind of connected to their parents kind of ends up bonding them to each other. So I really dug that aspect of the episode. Deborah Jo Rupp's going around, doing her thing. But before we get there, actually, I jumped ahead a little bit too much. They were just they had stepped through the doorway and were just on the witch's road, and they were all kind of discussing and figuring out what the hell's going on and what they should do next. Deborah Jo Rupp's freaking out, like, what the hell? I didn't sign up for this. Where's the party? This is fucking kidnapping, bro. I'm not fucking with this. There's no cell phone service. Someone get me the hell out of here. They're like, come on and follow me. And they end up finding this house or whatever and end up going inside of it, and then alluding to everything that I was just talking about. They have the whole wardrobe change and everything. They're exploring the place, seeing what's going on, trying to figure out what the first challenge is going to be. And like I said, they find this big bottle of wine and whatnot. They pop the cork open and start, pouring some glasses, having some fun times, letting loose a little bit. But then they realize that the actual wine is poison. And Deborah Jo Rupp was literally just chugging the hell out of these glasses of wine, and she is passed out. and completely unresponsive. And they got her on the kind of island in the kitchen there, and they're trying to figure out what the hell to do and what they can do to kind of combat this poison. And now they're realizing that they're poisoned, and it kind of like fucks up their faces and makes their faces look kind of deformed, almost like it got blown up with some terrible plastic surgery on some Courtney Cox type of, stuff. No offense, but all that kind of shit going on with just the weird, shit going on with the face and whatnot. And so then they figure out that the potions lady kind of figures out that they got to get some kind of antidote for this poison, and she might be able to come up with it if she can remember the kind of ingredients and things that they need to do to mix it together. So then they start running around the house and going around trying to figure out where they can find these items and where they can find these things, and they slowly but surely start doing that. And they're coming together here in the kitchen trying to figure out what's going on, and they're all going around the house trying to figure out what they can do next. The Asian lady goes splits off with the teenager and whatnot. Patti LuPone goes off on her own, and same thing with the black lady. And then after a while, they all start having these confrontations with these weird blue lights and all this stuff going on. And then they start having all these weird, trippy visions and things like that. And these things, I think, are very key to what ties into all the characters' past. That's what Patti LuPone's character was seeing there, which looks like it might be her mother or grandmother of some sort. And then you got the cloaked figure right there coming into the vision. So what the hell does that all mean? I definitely think it's a familial connection for her character, something from her past, something of that nature. And then you got the Asian lady who sees her mother, and she's like, "Are you really here?" Like, you know what I mean? And she's like freaking out. And then she's like, "Oh shit, this can't be real." And so they're all having the visions and whatnot and seeing different things. And then oops, jumped too far ahead. And then as we get back into things, so they kind of start coming up with this concoction because there's this timer that's going on. So that was the one thing about the episode I really did dig too. With this timer, they only have so much time to cure themselves of this poison that they've drank, and this is ultimately the challenge they're going to have to face, right? So they're coming up with the potion, trying to come up with this concoction in order to get the poison away. They end up forcing Agatha to drink it too, because at first she hadn't drank any. She poured it out because she didn't trust it due to her good instincts. And they're like, "Well, bitch, you better drink some of this shit too. You gonna get poison also. We ain't gonna let you get out scot-free." So she ends up drinking some and getting her face all messed up and whatnot. And they're going through all the motions, trying to figure out what to do. They're about to run out of time, and they put the potion together and try to give her the antidote, but it's not working. It's not the right color. And she realizes she forgot an ingredient that was very important to it all. And then they figure out what that is, and then she has to give Agatha has to give homegirl a pep talk there in order to get her to kind of get her head back in the game and try to get focused again so they can figure out how to solve this issue before the timer runs out. And they barely do so and get the drink into Deborah Jo Rupp's mouth by just literally pouring it in there just in the nick of time by the time the timer runs out. But it doesn't appear to work because she doesn't really wake up. So, and then they got these, then the house just gets flooded with water, right? So they got to make a quick escape and try to get the hell out of Dodge before they all drown in there. And they have to go through and crawl through the oven. That's literally like a passageway out of the house on some weird, Wizard of Oz type shit. So you're definitely getting those Alice in Wonderland, Wizard of Oz type of vibes going on here. And they're all climbing through one by one. And Agatha, of course, is going to force the Asian lady to stay there and be the last one to crawl out of there, and does so screaming and whatnot. And it ends up being like almost like a water slide type of thing to where they slide out into the forest again, where we saw them at the beginning of the episode and everything like that. So they all slide down one by one. And then once they get there, they realize that Deborah Jo Rupp has not woken up, and the teenager alerts them and lets them know she's dead, yo. Like, homegirl is gone. So she's seemingly deceased. We don't really know if that's going to stick throughout the rest of the season here. But that's pretty much it for this episode. Wasn't crazy eventful, but a lot of different things were going on with this little challenge that they had to do in this house, or this little pocket dimension thing that they were dealing with or whatever. And like I said, there was some really interesting things about the characters, kind of seeming like some characters are carrying some kind of guilt, carrying some kind of trauma with them that ultimately plays into their psyche and what's going on with them now, and something that they haven't really necessarily faced and overcome in their lives, even though they've all lived for quite some time. So that's a very relatable type of aspect that I really like that they're adding to the characters. And the one aspect I wanted to say for the very end was the fact that when the Asian lady when the black lady was speaking to the teenager about the whole situation about Agatha and whatnot, and being like, "You really don't know much about her, do you? Do you know she traded her child for the fucking Darkhold? That's how she had it originally, for that power that she had." And then the kid's like, "Oh shit, really?" And making a lot of hints that the teenager is maybe going to be Nick Scratch, who's Agatha Harkness's son from the comics, who becomes a warlord and does a lot of things in his own right. A lot of us fans out there, me and myself included, were kind of speculating that the teenager was Wanda's son. But apparently, it's looking like, from the way they're kind of teeing things up, with Agatha seeing the vision of the crib with the dark hole in it, with the kid seemingly kind of shook by it, and with us not really knowing who his parents are that he keeps referencing every so often throughout these first few episodes. To me, it seems like they're definitely trying to set it up to where Agatha is this kid's mom, and that's why they came together, and that's why he came to her house to begin with, because I think he suspects the same thing. I'm not sure exactly if he's lived for a long time and just looks young, or what the situation is, if he's reincarnated into a younger kid from the present, and she got rid of her kid a long time ago, I'm thinking. So I'm not 100% sure exactly how that's all going to shake out, but I'm very curious to see where it's going to go. And that's one of the fun mysteries going on with the seasons so far right now. That's really informing character and really informing who Agatha is as a person, potentially. So I really like all those aspects. And either way, with any of these theories, I think it's hella interesting for the fact of getting Scarlet Witch, aka Wanda Maximoff, back involved, or potentially being Agatha's son, and really fleshing out her character and really making her much more two-dimensional and things like that. I'm trying to think if there's any other big hints or any other big things in the series that they're teeing up here, but I didn't really necessarily catch anything. I'm sure there's a lot of Easter eggs and things like that for different things in the comics that are probably permeating throughout the episode as well. I'm not a huge Agatha Harkness fan in the sense of I know her lore from the comic books like that. I'm just very cursory knowledge just from doing some quick Google, Wikipedia searches and things like that. Couple short breakdowns on YouTube. So I'm not necessarily like all into this character like I am on Scarlet Witch, where I know a lot more of her lore, a lot more of the storylines that inform her character, and the ways that she might be able to come back into this series. I think could be very interesting depending on how they want to play that out. And we're going to get into this on our weekly news show, What's the Word? But there's been some rumors circulating for several weeks or months now that a Scarlet Witch movie is in the works. And there's some other big cameos and different appearances that she could be making that can really tie a lot of these things together. And I think they might be teeing it up and at least revealing that she's back within this season, within this series itself. So I'm very curious to see where all that's going to go with Wanda Maximoff as well. But like I said at the top of this thing, with my overall thoughts, wasn't necessarily my favorite episode of the season. I don't think it's going to go down as necessarily my favorite episode of the season. Definitely my second favorite out of the three so far, but I still enjoyed it. Thought they did some really good stuff with the characters and teeing up some of the big storylines and things that they're going to be tying into the future. Some really cool visuals, really nice visual aesthetic to the show. Loving everything Kathryn Hahn's doing. She's just so good in the series. Really liking all the other supporting characters as well. Everyone's really doing their thing, and I think the chemistry between all these actresses and these characters, or actors and these characters, is really strong as well. But I want to hear from y'all. Let me know what you thought about this latest and third episode of Agatha All Along down below in the comment section. Spooky season is right around the corner, y'all. I just did the first official video of that literally the other day right now, so you're going to be seeing that more than likely on the 1st of October. And we're going to give you guys horror content each and every week after that. But we're not going to be straying away from these weekly reviews of Agatha All Along, because obviously we're big MCU heads around here, and it's a part of the spooky season. So it's a perfect 2-for-1 combo right there, 2 for the price of 1. But we're also going to be getting into Penguin, that latest DC series over there on HBO Max. I'm not calling it Max. God damn it, Warner Brothers, HBO Max. But we're going to be doing weekly reviews for the Penguin. I think this week is going to be Thursday night, and then they're going to be switching to Sunday nights, potentially, I think, with episode 3. So it might change up the days of when we're dropping the reviews. But either way, you're going to be getting those weekly reviews and recaps for the Penguin and Agatha All Along. We got Terrifier 3 and Joker Folie à Deux right around the corner, so make sure you keep your eyes peeled for that. And like I said, we got a lot of fun horror goodness coming on the channel as well. So make sure you keep your eyes peeled for all of that. Thank you for sticking around to the end and for supporting the channel. We appreciate each and every one of you viewers out there. And until next time, make sure you stay safe, and we're going to catch you again real soon, y'all. Peace.